Annual meeting tonight, and we have a ballot. We have one vacant position tonight to fill. And according to our bylaws, you must be a member to vote. And I wanted to talk to you about becoming a member and why it's important to become a member. Our membership dues go to support not only us, but we also support the AHCA of Kentucky states. And it's really important about our dues because the AHCA of the United States, they support public policy and they fight for us in DC about all these issues that we can't be there to fight for our individuals with disabilities. They print all these fabulous fact sheets about Medicaid. We have them all over tonight for you all to take home and share with your individuals. They're there for our providers, for our consumers, for everybody. And we just couldn't do this fight alone without all the support of the AHCA of the United States. And Stella, she goes around, she fights for us. So this is why our dues are so important. It's important for people to join our memberships. So we want everyone to renew their memberships every year. That's right. And we have those forms back there. So in order for you to vote tonight in our ballot, you have to be a member to do that. You have to pay your dues. So I just want to explain that to you all. And as a chapter, what we do is we do a lot of classes for our individuals, and we offer all of our classes for free. We do, our latest one is we just partnered with Build Inclusion. We partnered with Maryland, and we done some pre-employment classes. Now Vote Rehab sponsors that, but we did like a lot of little extra things. We did a celebration for them at the end. We got them some medals. We did a lot of different things. We're doing an adaptive yoga class, which starts July the 9th. That's on a Sunday afternoon. It's already full. And we're going to offer another one. It filled up like within a week and a half. We're going to do in the fall. We're doing a class with Myra Beth Bundy and her graduate students. We're going to do a permit class to teach everybody how to get the permit and do. This will help them, the ones that struggle. And then in the spring, we're going to partner with HDI and Vote Rehab and do a driver's instructor class. So once they get their permit, we're going to come right back in the spring and help them all get their license. Because transportation seems to be a really big problem for our individuals in this area. So we want to try to help accommodate that. So that's some of the classes that we have coming up. And then we have our big fundraiser, December 15th at the Lyric Theater. And our theme this year is going to be the 60s and 70s. We have already secured Silverback Band to come and play for us. Play at the, and we're going to do, all of us are going to be dressed up. We're going to get our go-go boots out and our mini skirts, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Just a lot of activities for our individuals.
Did you say December 15th?
December 15th. So save the date because it's going to be a fabulous event. And if any of you have any suggestions about classes or your individuals want to have suggestions, we're always open to classes of something that we can support the need. We're also going to do a art class this fall. We've got that in the works. Something else I want to talk about memberships was, as we grow in numbers, I think we can go to the legislators and we're more powerful as a group. And so that's another thing that's very important. And I think Marie has something she wanted to say too about our...
I can't keep my mouth shut.
It's okay, go ahead. I know you want to talk.
Yeah, basically what I wanted to share, because I'm really worried about this for my child's situation. And this is why I love being a member of the AHCA. Because this is a blog that came out from the AHCA, the National AHCA. And I'm just going to read it to you because these figures blow my mind. My son gets 16 hours a day of a Medicaid waiver, the Supports for Community Living waiver. He gets his dental care paid for by Medicaid. He gets SSDI. So if you listen to this, you'll see why I'm pretty much alarmed right now. It says, under the President's proposed budget, Medicaid, and this is, I've given everyone, you all have this list here, but it says Medicaid, the primary health insurance and long-term services and supports program for people with disabilities will lose $610 billion over the next 10 years. And that is on top of what we're going to lose if they get rid of the Obamacare, which is $830 billion in the next 10 years, which the combined cuts will make it be that in 2027, Medicaid will only have half the funding that it has now. So in 10 years, I mean, my son's getting 16 hours a day of services, so in 10 years, he'll only, if that's the case, he may only be entitled to 8. Or it may be even worse than that, because it says Medicaid's optional services expected to take the brunt of such a drastic cut include prescription drugs, and my son's prescriptions for his seizure medications and his medications is $1,000 a month. So he makes $1,000 from his SSDI, and it would basically wipe out his entire income if it ends up that they do away with the prescription drug part of it. Physical therapy, and this is the part that is, even on each part's bad, but all home and community-based services under state plan and waiver programs. So that would mean the Shell P waiver would go away, the Supports for Community Living waiver would go away, and we would be left without services. So this really is alarming to me, and it basically, that's just the first thing that could go that's bad about the president's budget. Then they talk about the Social Security SSI is going to be cut, SSDI is going to be cut. They're going to slash programs, the food stamp program, affordable housing programs. We have a council for developmental disabilities in our state, and these things would be gone. The Council for Developmental Disabilities, Independent Living Services, and Traumatic Brain Injury Services. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I left one on every seat so everybody can read it and have it. But this is from the National ARC, and to me it's a very draconian cut, and it will affect my son's life tremendously, because if they do away with the waivers, I'm 72 years old, and I'm going to have to take care of my son, who's nonverbal, 42 years old, and has a lot of seizure issues, and I would be required to care for him, 24/7, which would be, I will do it if it comes down to it, that's what will happen. But he has a very good life right now, and he does Meals on Wheels on Mondays. He does backpack food for children. He's in the school system during the school year. Participates in parks and recreation programs, does things with Special Olympics, and he has his own business. He's now doing Chris's Canine Cookies, so he's baking dog biscuits. He has a very good, full, wonderful life with the support of these Medicaid programs and the SSDI. Everything's going well right now, and I see total disaster based on what the ARC is telling us the president's budget is. And that's just the president's budget. That's not even talking about the whole health care issue, which is a separate total issue too. So anyway, I just want you all to be aware of this, and if you join the ARC, then you can get their alerts and you can get their updates and know what's going on. And I think we need to be calling our legislators saying we do not want them to approve this part of the president's budget that cuts these programs.
Actually, they'll create their own budget, but it could be just as bad.
Pardon?
They'll create their own budget.
Right.
The Senate, they already voted for.
Well, you got health care in the budget, but, so I brought what Solo passed out the other day. So this is all of our federal representatives and how to find them. So if you'd like to know how to do that, here's one. Actually, I think I saw in the news where there were a group of people who did a sit-in in front of Mitch McConnell's office today in Washington. They had to haul them all.
They were all arrested.
They were all.
I put that on our Facebook page about a while.
They were arrested? In their wheelchairs. Carry Some of them away. were pulled out of their.
Okay, I'm going to go back to our business meeting part, and we have two people that are on our list to be our board members that we need to nominate tonight. We have Patty Logston. Do you want to say anything, Patty?
Not
We think she'll be a great candidate. So the members who, if you would like to be a member, we have our forms back here. So if you want to sign up before we take our vote, you need to do that now. We have different memberships. We have a family membership, we have an individual membership, we have a student membership, and we have a professional membership. So you can do that before we take our vote, if you haven't done it. And then we have Andrea Strasberg. Are you in here right now? Oh, do you want to say a few words to anybody?
Because I appreciate all the work that you all have done. I'm an advocate myself, in a different realm. But, I don't know, I'm ready.
So both of them would make a great candidate, so it's whoever, I'm going to pass out these, Alva, would you pass out these ballots to everybody?
Okay, I think you have a couple more.
That's fine, we'll let them, I'm going to continue talking and then everybody can, you can pass these out and once everybody gets their vote in, they can. You're part of it.
You're part of that.
I'm part of it.
While she's doing that, I'm going to introduce our board so everybody will know who we are. Okay, I'm Sherry Brothers, I'm the president. This is Alva Clark, she's our vice president. Brandon, would you stand up so everybody can see you? He's our treasurer. Sherry Cook is our secretary, which she can wave back there. Marilyn Barnett, I've seen her, she's on our board, she's a member at large. We have Myra Beth Dundee, she's not here tonight, she's a member at large. We have Cody Davis, him and his wife just had a new baby, so he's not here tonight. We have Nikita, she's here. Nikita Williams, she's on our board. And then we have one vacant, so we'll fill that spot tonight. And I have a report of all the activities that we've done back there on the table. Everybody wants to take one of those home and just kind of see what we've been doing. But we would love to have anybody new involved with our program and get you enrolled in some of our classes. Any way we can help you, we're glad to help you in any way. So I'm going to take those, we'll take those votes back up, and then I'll be ready to introduce our first speaker. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce him, and then I'll gather those back up. Our first speaker is Jeff Edwards. He's the Director of Protection and Advocacy. So I'll let you say a little bit more once you get up here, okay? And I have a gift up here for you too.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you for speaking.
Good evening, y'all. Thanks for inviting me. Now you're making me think what's in my teeth and all that. So, a few months, back in April, we hosted a application and advocacy. We worked with the ARC and the Deacon's Council. Trying to remember everybody else. The USED was there. And what we have pulled together was a group of people to talk about just this subject. What is Kentucky Medicaid and why is it important? And what are we going to do when the day comes, which today's the day. You know, the Republicans have released their alternative to health care. And what they want to do with it, you know, the things that we are hearing that are in and are not in, we can, you know, we're going to have coverage for our children up until 25, it looks like. They want the premiums to come back down, and they want to talk about more of these matches. The ins and outs of it, unfortunately, it takes a long time to go through, because if you've ever had the pleasure of reading a federal bill, they just don't tell you language. You think it's bad the way they talk to us anyway. You go back and you're referencing federal code and that kind, so it takes a little while to get to the meat of it. But everything is going to be on the chopping block. If we talk about it, we're going to look at if we cap what we have right now in Kentucky and we just hand down that big bunch of money like there is some thought that could happen, then what you have is it would be based on the number of people that were getting Medicaid at the time, which for us is pretty good. We had the largest expansion in the country, so we have a lot of people on Medicaid because of expansion, but then we have a lot of people on Medicaid because of Michelle P. and SCL waivers, traumatic brain injury, and the like. So that would make us a little better off for a little while. But since populations tend to grow, and in Kentucky what we have are lack of access to health care, lack of access to employment and good education, that makes us become a lot more dependent on Medicaid. We file for Social Security disability at a higher rate, so our money would go quicker if we cap the spending. Or if it comes down in a cap and it's a block grant. You know, we get so much and that's what you have. You don't have the match now. For every quarter we spend, we get 75 cents. And despite all the issues we have, that's not a bad thing. It helps quite a bit. But I'm going to, I think what Marie said is probably the most important thing. Politicians know, especially the people in this room right now, they know you've already established, I'm going to be there for my loved one, right? You know, I'm going to, even if Medicaid goes away and I'm getting 2 hours of services a week, I'm going to do what I can to keep my loved one comfortable and where they are. I'm going to do my best not to have to institutionalize them. But it's going to be a struggle, and it's going to cause me not only not to be able to work, so then I'm not paying taxes, then I become more dependent on the system. That's the kind of stuff, they have to hear your stories. And I think it was so urgent in April, it is more urgent today. And I know Katie Bentley has shared some things that she had put together. And it has the map in it that we created, that we had in April, where it talks about these are the number of Kentuckians that rely on these services. Well, that sounds good, and that sounds important, and that impacts you, because you get that. But the individual politicians don't get that piece of it. You have to be able to tell why it is important, why you use Medicaid, what Medicaid does for you. It helps my son have a job. It's not my goal for my son to be on Medicaid. I don't want him to be on these benefits. I want him to work. I want my daughter to live independently. These are all goals we have for people. Some people get there at different times and we get there at different fashions. But the more we support people with things like the SCL waiver, Michelle P, and other home community-based waiver services, we are taking that burden off, right? You know, if you have a child that is going to work a couple of days a week versus going to a sheltered workshop, those are days your child is out contributing and earning money that your child's going to put back into the economy versus sitting somewhere with no thought of ever getting out of that. They have to hear why it's important to you. I think the most important thing is if you, the story piece that Katie's created, she shares, you know, you sit down and do that. You do that with your child, your brother, your sister, whoever you're here about, so you can not only share that with them, but make yourself understand exactly what it is. Really write that down. How many of you have written that down and understand every aspect of what Medicaid really does for every part of your son's or daughter's life? It's huge, right, Carolyn?
Absolutely, Jeff. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
I think those are over there too, Carolyn.
And I don't know if you all know that until, I mean, it's one of those things until you put that on paper, you might not get that piece of it, how big it is. You have to tell your stories. Now, what I'm going to send out to Sherry, and I'll send it to Stella tomorrow, our national organization tonight, along with InHealth, the DD councils, everybody is going through the legislation tonight and figuring out exactly what they think it says. And then what I'll have my attorneys do in the morning, tell me if they're right about what they think it says. Then we will be disseminating that. That does not matter as much as if you spend that time doing this exercise and saying, this is what it does, this is why it's important to me, I want to be able to work, so that means I have to have these supports in place. And for some people, remember, it's not that 24/7. For some people, it's I need somebody to show up in the morning to help me get out of bed and help me get dressed. Then the rest of the day, I'm good. I'm out working a 40-hour-a-week job, and I might be even taking care of the kids. Those are the people we're talking about too. Those are the people that are going to be impacted. Those are the people that have the services in the same way a lot of people do because they may be appropriate for nursing home level of care. So if we start losing these home community-based services, the alternative automatically becomes nursing homes, and they become institutions. That's why we call them waivers, remember. We're waiving the institutional requirement. So the people that the safeguard's there for is who? The people in the institutions. I mean, and I've said that, I've said that with folks from Oakwood and Hazelwood in the room, and that's something that people say, well, absolutely. Because that's what was waived. We waived that requirement. That's what a waiver is. You're waiving the requirement. So when we start jerking these services out from under people left and right, and unfortunately, some of you may be in this room, but there's a lot of people that it'll get to the point where they're not going to be able to support their child or their brother or their sister in that home or in that apartment the way they've become accustomed. Because we can't turn back time, so none of us are going to get any younger. Physically, we might not be able to do it. We might end up in a situation where we have a spouse that we end up caring for, or we become incapacitated ourselves. So that's why you have to take that time. And I would be right there with you. I think it has led to a lot of sleepless nights. It scares the devil out of people. But I think it's time that we channel that energy into telling them this is what it is. This is who Medicaid is. It's not just 8,000 people in Michelle P. It's not just kids, because that's what it just sounds like. Well, there's kids in school that get Medicaid to pay for OT, PT, and speech services. Well, that's a lot different. If you have a child that you're saying, here's an example, and this is why we have to have these services, because we want her to be as independent as she can be. And if she doesn't have that, the alternatives get to be smaller and smaller and smaller. One thing that Kentucky has never done, and we've asked about it as protection and advocacy for a long time. When Department of Justice was here at Oakwood several years back, and the decision came down to downsize Oakwood. Well, we've never decertified those beds. Those beds are still available. So what happens? That means there's called a COM, a Certificate of Need process. I'm trying really hard not to speak in Medicaid or state speak. So the Certificate of Need process, you know, it comes up with, assigns, you know, the beds, the number of beds that are needed to fulfill a duty. Well, of course, in the 70s, when Oakwood was built, we had these 420. I think there's about 115, maybe 120 people at Oakwood, excuse me, right now. Those are still available beds. So, what's to worry about on that level if something happens and you don't have services for your son or daughter? There's a bed at Oakwood. There's a bed at Oakwood. There's a bed at Oakwood.
So the 4,100 people on the SEL waiver, Jeff, so it's not a bed at Oakwood for 4,100?
Oh, no, no, I'm not saying that is, Carol. No, not at all.
That's sort of the insanity of it all.
But you just, right, and that's 4,100 people who will still continue to get absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, anyway, it's not as though they're really institutional beds
No,
for all the people.
no, but they could fill up, they could just,
They could
yeah, they could fill that up and then that's over.
Yeah.
You know, that's your alternative when there's not a slot. That's my point. Excuse me. So, but just, that's an alternative, and the alternative is institutional settings, is what I want to make clear. There's, you know, the community will not be a choice. There's a place for you to go, or you get nothing, or you continue to struggle. So that's why I think it is more important than ever, and I will keep repeating myself, is to start being able to talk about why it's important, what's important about it, and what it does for you. More importantly, what it does for the person that you're here about. And get them to be able to articulate that story. What I do with Medicaid, I go to work, I go to school, and I have somebody help me get out of bed in the morning. You know, it helps me live with two people because I'm 22 and I want to get out of my mom's house.
Exactly.
You know, because she's going to make me clean my bed and my room, and right now I've got staff filled enough that they'll do it for me that I can't do it. Right? Is that happening to everybody? I was thinking of that on the way up here. It was like, I've been doing this how long now? Yeah, so that,
Yeah.
it's amazing what a 20-year-old man can get in their closet. And I, you know, it still amazes me. I can't give, I don't know what's going to happen. 4 senators right now are not in agreement on what the bill looks like. Rand Paul being one of those, which is good for us. It's probably not the reasons we would like in the room collectively. We would like somebody to say, you know, you are really throwing people with disabilities out the door and setting this movement back 150 years is what you're doing. You know, you're taking us and making us 3rd and 4th class citizens. You know, you want us to be independent, you want us to work, you want us to contribute, but you're not going to give us a shot like this. You're going to make us more dependent on the system. We don't have anybody saying that, that's why you have to say it. Jeff Edwards saying it doesn't mean a thing. It does not mean a thing. You know, I can write letter after letter. We send letter, we sign on with our national organization. I go to Frankfurt and talk to Medicaid. I'm a known entity. They know what I'm going to say. And they just hear wah disability, wah Medicaid, wah. And it's just that tongue. You know, that's just what happens. They're not here. It makes a difference when you are there and you're talking about what you do with your day and why your life is important and why you matter like that. That's what they have to hear. That's what Rand Paul needs to hear. That's what Mitch McConnell needs to hear. We know the House has already gone, and they have a bill, our healthcare bill is already hanging out there. It doesn't matter. Right, Andy Barr, right, Hal Rogers, continue to tell them the same thing. And also, whatever happens on the state and federal level is going to hit in Frankfurt.
Yes.
You know. And right now, what we have done, and, well, I don't know how to say it, so that'll probably get me in trouble, so I'll say it anyway. You know, we have voted against our own best interest on a state and a federal level on disability policy.
Yeah.
Okay? And some of that is we haven't done a good job about saying this is what Medicaid is for a person and a family with disability. Not expansion, not expansion. I'm not talking about expansion. Because that's where we get lumped in. When we talk about Medicaid expansion and Connect and Obamacare and everything. That's not what we need to talk about. We need to be talking about traditional Medicaid, Medicaid what it was intended for. It started out with the Oakwoods and the Outwoods and the Hazelwoods. It expanded to community-based programs, and it has continued to grow to the point that we have more people in the community getting services now. We don't want to go backward. So it's a good time. So whatever happens in DC when it hits Frankfurt, it'd be nice if they know who you are already. It's a good idea for them to be able, I think you have to have advocacy days. I think you have to get on the phone and you have to call people. But while they're home right now, y'all, before they head back to Frankfurt, and if there's a special session in August, or if there's not, but definitely before they hit back in January, you need to have been in front of your state senator and your state representative. You need to sit down and have that conversation with them and say, this is what it does. This is what it means to me. This is what will happen if she doesn't have these services. Put a real face with that. And then, right, you're going to want to get that picture made with them. And that picture goes back to them. And you keep having that conversation. So that when the session rolls around, remember what you've seen me and I've harassed you with that photo of you and my daughter for 6 months now. When I'm going to come harass you again in Frankfurt. And I'm going to bring her so you can, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anybody else. Yes, ma'am.
You seem to be talking about the individuals are capable of going to work and income taxes. What about the ones that are not capable?
No, that I have said, no, I think if there are people that are doing that, you're right. That's the thing you're talking about. If you have someone that you're representing, it's your son, daughter, whoever that person is, then your piece is, this is what Medicaid does to keep my child here, to keep my child safe, doing things he wants to do. Those are the conversations you have. I think it is important, if he can be part of that conversation, to have him there saying why it's important to him. If that's something that can happen, that's in an ideal world. I know that's not going to happen. But then you sit down and you fashion it like I was saying, this is what it does for him. And then you say, and this is what it alleviates for me. This is the pressure it takes off me. Because if I don't have these services, if he doesn't have these services.
My son, Harrison, most of his services come through disabled child adult through the Social Security. does get some sort of security, you have to handle the situation like that.
Um,
I think they were proposing cutting SSDI anyway. It's hard to rehab that.
yeah,
They're kind of
It-
running SSDI also.
yeah,
But isn't he on a waiver?
SCL.
yeah.
He's on SEL. So SEL, because of SEL, he's able to live with you, and stay in the community. That's one thing he's able to do. He's also able to do a day program, because he goes to Cardinal Hill. So these are the things that he's able to do since he has Medicaid.
And you don't, and so he's living at home with you?
No, it's in the residence.
Okay. And
So that's another thing, that's another benefit.
Yeah.
Potentially, because.
he's on, yeah, you know, he's being as independent as he can be with these services and supports.
Yeah, and he has a wonderful life. And I met the deputy commissioner of Medicaid. We talked.
Good.
He was in the program in 2003. We have seen the growing changes. And I can honestly say that most of the changes have been good. It is pressed and pressed and pressed. Where now he's got an excellent life.
And you just told the story. That's it. That's his story.
I didn't know you guys. We gotta tell it to them.
You gotta tell your.
Because most of the money comes from Washington. Most of the money that funds that comes from
Right.
Washington. So if it gets cut, the agree that's gonna get cut, you might not have hardly
Many
any.
of yes.
He might come home with you. I mean, seriously. I mean,
Oh.
no. So it's
No.
that dire. It's that dire.
It's, everything is on, yeah, everything's on the line, everything's on the chopping block. And that's why, you know, I'm like, I have nothing to bring to hand out because I don't know. When you have all the, I don't have yet, you know, other than a Magic 8 Ball is as good a guess right now in anything because we just are clueless.
Well, what it does sound like what happened is it's the block grants for the per capita. See, right now it's a 70-30 match. 30% that Kentucky puts in, it could go into the pension fund. Literally states
where that
can choose
goes.
what to do.
Yeah.
So the 30% can go away. So think of 30% of the $100,000 that may be supporting your son right now. So there still could be something, but it's still going to be less than that. So it's just, I think to understand that we've been in this a really long time, Jeff. I mean, when I first came into this 40 years ago, there were 250 people served in the SCL waiver in the entire state in the late 80s. We now have 4,100.
Yeah.
There was no Michelle P. waiver, thanks to you all. There is.
10,000 people on
There are
that.
10,000 people on that. Okay, so there may still be something, but it won't be anywhere
No,
near
you're not going
what
to.
we're.
And another thing, I don't know if all the legislators understand this, but those waiver programs are optional for the state.
That's the waiver, right. And that's part,
And so they can be
Great
the very
point.
first things on the chopping block.
We are going to have a combined meeting with ASBG and the ARC of Kentucky. We're scheduling it for September 21st to share all our stories with the legislators. We're in the process of arranging that big meeting.
that's
Are you going to
fabulous.
open that up to different disability
Yes.
groups?
Yes.
The more the
Yes.
merrier.
Yes, we will.
DSAC would love to know about
Yes,
that. Be part of that.
we'll invite you too.
I mean, we didn't know anything about it.
We just now started, I'm just now working on it. We haven't even got the meeting. Well, I'm
Let us
working on
know
it.
about that. And then the other question, Jeff, that I'd like to know is, I mean, stories are great, and I absolutely for it. I think we all should tonight go home and call Grandpa, because he's on the fence. And I'll be really honest with you, I met with Mitch McConnell back in a couple months ago. He's gone. Don't waste your time.
Yes.
Don't waste your time. You can't even get through to his phones.
He won't
did
even
a
answer now.
complimentary visit.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time. We need to bombard Rand Paul. But my question is, and maybe you can help me with this one, I think through this process myself, is absolutely all these stories are necessary. Absolutely we need to bombard them. But at some point, just as you said, it becomes Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. Where do we go from there? So when we get to our state legislators and we've told our story, how do we get facts? Look, the cost of institutionalizing my child is going to cost the state this much. The cost for an SEL waiver is going to cost this much.
We will have all of
How
that.
do we get-
Okay.
yeah,
And
how
I'll
do
tell
we-
you, that, okay, let's
let's
We can
get
wheel
to
and
the,
deal on that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, let's get to
Yeah,
the heart of it.
yeah,
Who
we
do
can-
we talk to?
no.
Who are the players?
And that, we'll have all of that. Those are the things that will start rolling in
Because I've
tomorrow.
heard some numbers, but I don't know that they're verified, and I think, you know.
They're
story-
coming in. Those
Yeah,
things
I
are
think
coming in.
we need to get beyond, stories are great, we need that, but then we need to be 2 steps ahead of stories as to when it gets to Frankfurt, and they've heard our stories a blue million times, what do we hit them with now? What
Well,
makes
and I
it
think
come back
it would
around?
be, if it were me, this were my shindig, this is, I'm just invited to the dance. I think if I was clicking through it, it's that. I think you do the stories, I think then you go back with them. This is what we're talking about. It would cost you this much to serve her here versus here, doing things the way we're doing.
How many people are gonna lose their jobs? How many tax
Yes.
dollars are you gonna lose because I can't work anymore? And then how many nonprofits go out of business? Because you know the volunteers that are running those nonprofits and providing community services that the state doesn't offer, guess what? Those people can't volunteer and those people can't work there
Well,
anymore because they're home with their child.
And I
That's
think,
kind of dollar and cents thing
and I think
is
those
where
have
we need to
been,
go.
those may have
beyond.
already been done, and I'll check with
There's a lot of your numbers on here too.
the DD Council, yeah. Those are our numbers from.
And then
the-
this is the Medicaid Works in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And that's got a lot of great statistics on it.
But we can get what the breakdown
Yeah.
is and what it looks like.
Because I don't think they're,
cost-wise.
well, I think you're exactly right. We're getting lumped in with Medicaid expansion and
Yeah.
Oh,
nobody's
that's
doing the
exactly
math
what's
on
happening.
just these individual cases. So beyond the stories, we've got to have our next game plan.
What
And I
about,
think I'm sorry, go.
that's okay. What about numbers when it comes to, like my son, he's on the Michelle P. waiver and he gets community living supports. And the whole idea behind that is to become a productive member of the community. And if that's taken away, then there's the potential for him to be institutionalized later on.
Right.
Whereas right now, he's 9 years old. We can potentially prevent him from ever needing institutionalization and perhaps maybe not needing a waiver in the future because, well, he was prepared as young as he is to go out into the community and adjust to a world that is neurotypical. So, I mean, what would be the numbers there for institutionalizing him in the future? Because his waiver got taken away and he wasn't prepared to go into,
You know, and
the
I think,
community.
and I thought Katie was coming tonight, is she not?
No, she wasn't.
Okay, well, y'all really got let down if I am your only. Scraping the bottom of the barrel tonight.
Patty and I are not chopped liver. Patty and I are gonna have something to say.
Okay.
We're not chopped liver.
Stella's gonna talk.
I know, Stella too.
I don't, I think she did something similar to that.
I just feel like it's something we should also be
Well-
talking about because right now, what's the number for people who have children who are diagnosed with autism right now is 1 in 68.
I'm sorry.
1 in 68 children diagnosed with autism. Is that per year? That's per year, right? And that number has grown so much, and these people are children right now. So, I mean, they're children who are getting these waivers, who are getting community living supports and ABA therapies and things to prepare them to go out into the community and not necessarily need to continue to live with mom and dad, or even if they do need to continue to live with mom and dad, maybe they have jobs because they were able to get that job training.
Right.
So,
And some of those like that, I think it might, you know, you can figure out the cost of the.
I'm not good with numbers, that's
wait,
why I asked you.
Well, see, and I have to work through, that's,
Well,
I
where
have
do we
a,
get these numbers? Where, I don't even know where you.
well, see, that's one of the things I have to talk, I have
What
to
is,
think about
what,
that.
you're wanting to know the numbers of people with disabilities?
No.
No, how
Like
much it
the
costs.
total.
My budget for SEL, the maximum budget is what, 100 and, I don't know, let's just say
So how much would it
$100,000.
cost if I was in an institution?
If I had to institutionalize that
Yes.
person, then I've got to pay for that bed, I've got to pay for
Well, it
auditors,
depends on,
I've got
I
to
don't
pay
know,
for
I think we
workers.
just put the numbers.
And in addition, if I'm not going to put them in an institution, how many people are going to be unable to work And you're gonna lose, because mom and dad are.
And it depends
Right.
on,
That's the numbers.
but it
not
depends
how
on
many
where
are
they're, if
on.
you do it at a higher one, you might be talking about $1,500 a day.
Yeah.
And you know, Jeff, we have asked for that. We ask for numbers all the time from
Well, they
powers that
publish,
be, and sometimes it's very difficult to get those exact numbers. And then you might get a number and then, oh, well, that doesn't include this, this, and this, and you're going,
yeah, well, and like the $1,500 a day, I want to say
Yes.
that's bingo.
But that's just it, we've gotta be ahead of that ballgame
But-
after we tell our
Right,
story.
but then it's all the ancillary.
Right.
What we can do on that, I'll tell you, is, yeah, Brandon.
Typically, like, so what the provider association do in a lot of instances is also like our,
Can you speak up a little bit? I'm by this Coke machine, I can't hear anything.
so what the provider association, a lot of these other outside like trade associations and groups do, is that we look at what has happened in other states as a way to provide benchmarks. So like, when you go up, the stories are good, but you've got to show, Kentucky is horrible at mismanaging its waiver, and that's pretty straightforward. If you can look at other states, models that have succeeded and save money in the long term, because every place has ICFs, everything like that. Provider associations put together smaller numbers based off the folks that we provide, and we put that together. But yeah, getting stuff through like records requests and things like that, actual numbers, it's different. It's different no matter which part of the state you
Well, but you can, if you will, we can do it this way. I'll get those. Somebody tell me what you're looking for. You're gonna have to email me exactly that, what you're looking for. It won't stay here tonight.
One thing I'd like to know is how many provider agencies will go down? So how many people will lose jobs? I know there was, in regard to the Obamacare issue, they said 16,000 healthcare jobs would be lost in Kentucky. So I don't know that that includes like the case management places and.
I think those are just expansion jobs.
I know they are. So I would like to see it for how many, I mean, there are lots of people that work, and if you count in direct care providers, all those people will lose their jobs. So I'd like to be able to say, look
And
how
see,
many
and
jobs.
on that one, I think that one would be, Brandon might have a better shot on that one because
Yeah,
the state won't know people's budgets and how they are running their business.
Part of this thing with Navigate is the due diligence on what it actually costs, like what they're supposed to be doing. But, you know, we're at a point now where we've kind of formed these factions. Like you have the provider group over here, you have the CMHC group over here, you have the family self-advocate groups, but they don't really coincide with one another because a lot of the family groups have had opinions about provider groups, and we've gotten to a point now to where it has to be a concerted effort. And so, you know, the thing I see is that I serve on the board for a couple of different things, like provider side, advocate side, family side, and there's not a whole lot of communication. But we're all really doing the same thing. Like not a lot of people would realize that the Provider Association a few years ago attempted to get legislation passed. It was basically pass-through wages for direct support professionals. Because it's a win-win. It's a win-win for the folks, it's a win-win for the staff, the agency. But we were the only ones pushing it. Nobody else jumped on it. So like they would agree to an increase in waiver reimbursement. But it speculated, it put forth the fact that those funds had to be passed directly to direct care staff wages. I'm just using that as an example. There's a lot of stuff that each group is doing that, you know, instead of tugging and pushing in two different directions, we really need to kind of hone in, do a concerted effort, get a game plan and a mission statement together, push that as a group.
Well, and I think right along those lines, if you look at going and bringing in, the School Board Association has a piece of this because of the number of kids that are receiving Medicaid services in school for the therapies. It goes back to the institution piece of this too. And then also, breast cancer survivors. You know, there's 8,000 of those a year that Medicaid uses. So I think you're completely right. I think it's bringing everybody, and those are the traditional Medicaid pots. This is that's one voice. We are here to protect Medicaid, and this is comply.
Right, but you've got to talk, I mean, you're going up there, I mean, and again, stories are good, but you've got to talk solutions.
Yeah.
We're really good at talking about problems. I can talk about the problems on Louisville, and that's great, because they need to know the problems. But if you don't go up there with a game plan, you don't have something to bring to the table, you know, it's going to get lost in translation.
But they did tell us at our last meeting, we went and talked to the legislators, and they did tell us that when they have a photo and a picture and a story, that they can look at that and they see that, and they relate better when it is in front of them, and they can't hardly take away that service as easy when they see the picture.
They do when it comes down to the budget years.
So why
The
wouldn't
budget
we
is
want to
budget.
do the picture and the
Well,
story
all of
and
it,
then
yeah.
put the blurb, if I were, and, you know, if this is my life now, if I were in an institution, this is how much it would cost the state. This is what my life would be like, with the blurb of that.
And Vicki, I don't know.
I mean,
Like
I'm
I
just
said,
saying
I'm
that
just,
might be something
I'm just
that
at the
gets
dance. I think
attention,
that's what you
but
all
then
have to
it's-
figure out.
It's showing them the money, because I know, we were one of, Alicia was one of the first ones with the Medicaid waiver. You know, I mean Michelle P., and you know how hard we fought. And the whole, when I talked to the legislators, this was like 10 years ago, 9 years ago, and the legislators were saying, well, Ms. Rohr, you know, we're in a recession. And I said, I'm trying to save you money. Because when she was in Our Lady of Peace, I got bills for $10,000, and she wasn't even there that long. So, you know, I saw where they were paying the amounts that they were paying.
You're right, and you
So
want to say
what about if
something.
we don't vote for them in the future? Does that have any impact at all?
Well, a lot of them are coming up for reelection.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good point.
You want to say something for a long time, right?
That want us to be in an institution, I'm sorry, that there are.
Here locally, the director of elder care and disability services here in the city is Christy Stanbaugh. And if maybe if you guys went to the mayor's office and said, can you stand behind us? When we go and get the city of Lexington behind you, you have a lot more power to make change. And, you know, because we're going to, I've been on the Commission for Citizens with Disabilities and just rolled off this past January. And I sit on the board of directors for Independence Place here in town. And we're concerned, we're really concerned over there about how that's gonna impact us. And when I work at UK Healthcare, NIH grants, our Vice President Monday, who's Vice President of Finance over there, said the university itself has a potential to lose $20 million itself in NIH grants, National Institutes of Health, which is 220 jobs just at the university. And then the jobs that actually starts, it's beyond the university, it's way up there. So you all need to go to the social service department of the city and say, can you all back us in going to our constituent, or our representatives in Washington and say, please, you know, do we have your support in going out there and saying, we have the city of Lexington support in doing this? Because that would give you a whole lot of.
Well, and I think that's one of the things I had suggested, that somebody had a connection with the mayor, Fisher of Louisville, and doing that same kind of thing, some kind of resolution. I don't think anything's come of it. I don't know where it is. You know, I think these are all excellent ideas. It is just putting it to action.
Yeah.
It is going on and going through the motions.
It only takes one group to just take the initiative, get 2 other groups involved, then steamroll that to 4 other groups involved. Then you just start building on that. It just takes one person to keep.
And that's kind of what the US ARC has been really pushing on all my director calls, and we actually did that with Shannon McCracken and I. We went and actually talked to the Commissioner of Medicaid ourselves And that's what we thought about that is exactly what needs to be done because, it's not a provider thing, it's a people thing.
Yeah.
And where we're missing it really is everybody getting on the same page and fighting together.
Well, and it's
because there's
one-
power in numbers.
It's one mission statement.
Yes.
Brandon's right about that, you're doing one thing.
Yes.
But it's just, we will do as a protection and advocacy. Numbers that you need, there will be times we can get those easier from Medicaid or the division or whoever, just by virtue of where we're located. We can do those things. I'll gladly see that stuff is done. We will come talk to whoever you want to talk to. We will, run stuff by us and use us for those things. We have a pad board that I can get involved, that Jay's a member of. But what we can do, we can offer all of that support. I just think it is the most important thing that you should.
I want to ask a question. So what would be the best way, if we got together, let's just say 3 pretty big groups in Lexington, and we put all of our questions together, what if I coordinated that? Then we did like all of our questions about the facts that we want, then we sent one big email to you, and then you could send it all back to us. Would that be the best way?
Yeah.
Then we could be armed to take all of that to our meeting.
Yeah.
And how they do it at the federal level is they create that letter pretty much and people sign off on it. So that's really going to be very effective too if we get the groups, all the groups together. That doesn't mean, everybody's going to have to join together.
Right,
And it means sometimes, you have to kind of compromise a little bit because everybody kind of has to
Well, you only agree on one
Yes.
thing. You don't have to agree.
And then everybody signs off
Yeah.
on it, and you go, you send it, and it's, then you follow up, and you keep following up, and you keep following up. And that's, you and I need to get together on that too, and work on that, and coordinate everything with Sherry, and get it all going, so it can be a statewide effort versus just, Lexington, Louisville, where it's
Well,
a
and then
statewide
it's
effort with
time-
all the advocacy agencies
Well,
that are out
and then
there.
you can bring in, we will make those contacts. I think it goes into the School Board Association, has a
Absolutely.
role, all that
State
stuff.
advisory panel has got,
Yeah.
totally changed.
Yeah,
So
so
there's
all those
kinds of
people,
things.
we can help you get in contact with and get people to the table on that too.
Well, and
We can do that.
and here's a question, left field, don't know how it works, no idea. But if we were a corporation, what would we do? We would get a lobbyist. How does that work? What do we do? Maybe it needs to be somebody guiding this effort that's more in the political arena than we are, because we are who we are. I'm not an expert on it. You certainly are the most qualified person in this room, but even at that, what do we do besides sitting in a room and talking about? What do we do? What's our next? We put our stories together. How do we get those numbers? How do you get a lobbyist? How do you interview a lobbyist? What do you do? I don't know.
And that, I can refer you to the Kentucky Roll Call that has all the lobbyists in there.
I'm registered as a state lobbyist just because if I want to go to Frankfurt, I have to be registered.
Right.
That doesn't make me a lobbyist.
But,
We're not, our the ASBG charter does not allow us to spend money on lobbying. I don't know about the ARC or your group, but
Okay,
we
well,
don't.
no,
We can't, we're prohibited.
we're not allowed to.
but individuals can.
Yeah. But where does the money come from?
There's a lot at stake here for us to sit around and say, well, I don't know, gosh, wish we should have done that. We need to think big. We need to, if we were a corporation, we would have a lobbyist right now. We would have somebody who knows the game, who knows how to play it, can get to the players, and tells us what to do.
If we did a GoFundMe, yeah, that would be okay. We could do it under our.
Yeah, Nikita?
If they do cut Medicaid, that means no work, no vacation, and if I don't have no money, I got my own apartment, I could lose that. And if they do, where can I live? Because people keep on saying I can't live back with my family. Where am I going to live?
Okay, that's your story.
That's your story.
And you need to tell it.
On that part, I think some of, when you're talking about lobbyists and that kind of thing, I think it goes back to what Stella was saying, that she went and met with Miller, with Shannon McCracken. I think Shannon, I think, I can't think of Steve's last name.
Steve Miller. No.
Shannon.
Steve Shannon.
Steve Shannon, Shannon McCracken, okay, yeah. That would go in.
Go Shannon,
But that is,
But again, you've got the provider piece and you've got the, the participant
CNHC
piece.
piece.
But you've got to bring those two together because, nothing about me without me, we know that. But we need the providers too.
Yeah.
You've got to have them both working together. And that was such a great meeting because we were able to really shoot out totally different perspectives,
Yeah.
both sides, with his total attention.
and see, and I think that, not my dance. But if you're thinking along those lines and registered lobbyist and that gets to be money and you're going down that road. And for this purpose, having those connections and bringing in partners like that everybody knows, Shannon's gonna go in. He's gonna get in.
He's fighting too.
So, but if he's going in with you, they're gonna listen.
Right.
So, you don't have to pay him, but you're gonna benefit by what he's doing. It's the same kind of thing. But you have to be prepared
Right.
and be able to say what your piece is.
Right. I'm sorry?
He is with, he does all the CMHCs, the Community Mental Health Centers. He's over those. And he is a paid lobbyist. And so he's every day at the Capitol pretty much.
So he can't, could he include our group?
And he does now even. He does,
Even if
speak
they
for
get
people
more
as
money,
well.
why can't we do like a little thing like they do with, like just a little bit where you keep sending people emails, I have it today, I'm like, donate $10, and just have somebody do the email piece reminding
I think that's important, but I think it's gonna come down to dollars and cents.
Yeah.
I just truly do.
to pay a lot.
I mean, they can have 1,000 stories, but if it doesn't make sense and we can't make it make sense with dollars and cents, they don't care about the story. I'm sorry, but I don't think
No,
they do.
don't.
Okay, I'll be fine.
Is that it for me? Okay, I don't know if I did any good at all.
You did great.
Thank you very much. Do that exactly. Just get the questions together, that stuff you're looking for, and we'll get that back to you all. Should be fairly quick. Okay?
We'll coordinate it.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Oh, right here.
Okay, here's your gift.
Real quick, oh,
Thank you.
thank y'all very much.
Next is Stella Beer.
Oh, no, you don't, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
She's our executive director for the ARC of Kentucky.
I am just late to the dance tonight, so I'm an invited person here. And I'm just really thankful that Sherry asked me to come, and I think all this discussion is great. I will be honest with you, my head is about ready to explode because we've been in waiver redesign meeting stuff today. You've got Medicaid going on. Kentucky is in crisis right now, for real. And I think all the stuff that's going on right now is very timely. I think it's very important that we don't walk out of here today and think somebody else will do it, that it is time that we come together and do it. And I'm new in my position. I've only been working as the director for the ARC for 8 months, but I'm not new into advocacy, that's for sure. I have a 21-year-old son with intellectual disabilities. His name's Clayton. So I've been doing this for a very, very long time. Unfortunately, things are changed now. Things are different. So the way we've known it before, we just have to pretty much say it's not going to be that way anymore. As much as I hate to say that today, that's kind of the way that it is. And one of the things that I wanted to share tonight, I'm here to talk to you about Advocates in Action, which is a class that we do. I'm here to talk to you tonight also about how to talk to your legislators. But before we get to all of that, I do want to say one of the important things that you need to know as a person with a disability, as a family member of someone with a disability, is that you do know the difference in the Medicaid waivers that are out there. And that when people do start talking about them, you know, like we've said tonight, there's that one that's the expansion waiver, that it's called 1115. And you need to know these numbers. And tonight, I challenge you, take these papers that we've provided for y'all tonight and really understand the difference between the two. Then there's those 1915C waivers. That's the ones that Jeff was up here talking about. That's your Michelle P., your supports for community living. All of those are in jeopardy because, as we've said tonight, they are optional. And when you're looking at something, when folks in high court are looking at things, what are the first things they look at? They look at optional services. That's where my stomach starts to turn. Because I know that if something's optional, a lot of times it's the first thing to get either done different or whatever. I sit through that Medicaid meeting. Who was there today? I heard somebody back there.
I saw it on the web.
Okay, yeah. I knew there were probably lots of, I was like, there wasn't very many people in the room, but I know there were a lot of people out there in the virtual world. And one of the things that they were talking about today is, you know, how they're here to help us. They want to do everything they want to do, and I'm grateful for that. But all in all, as it was said earlier, what happens federally trickles down to the state. And because we don't even know what's going to happen with Medicaid, it's very hard to sit in those meetings today and feel hopeful. Even when everybody up there on the stage is trying to make us feel hopeful. It's still very hard to feel hopeful when we don't even know what's going to happen. So I sat there today almost with that glass half empty attitude, which I know is probably not the best attitude to have, but we have to be in a real world right now. We have to realize that things are going to change. And as we know it, it's not going to be the same anymore. So you've got those 1115 waivers and we've got the 1915C. So that's your homework tonight. If you don't know the difference, you need to research it and find out. Because especially when you are going and you're throwing numbers, when we do go make those appointments and we do talk to our legislators, if you don't know the difference and you can't say that to them, you're not going to be effective either. Because most of our legislators are freshmen. They are new. We had 30 new legislators that were voted in this year. 30 new. You think about that. They've come from their hometown to Frankfort Green. So it is our responsibility to educate them and let them know because they don't really know. They're learning themselves. So that was one of the things that I found when I was in Frankfort during the last session. I made appointments. Clayton and I went and we went and talked and they know us. They know us because guess what? We've made it a point to get to know them. We've contacted them. We've sent them notes. We've shared the stories. We've done those things. So when we walk in with them, they immediately go, oh, hi, Clayton, how are you? Because his face is there. So it is very, very important that that is part of this piece too. And when we were going and talking with them, I did find that when I was talking about Medicaid waivers, a lot of them immediately went to that 1115 piece. Oh yeah, and I'm like, no, these are whole community-based waivers that provide services within the community. That's the verbiage kind of that you need to be aware of and be able to share with them. Because telling your story is wonderful. And that's what I'm here to talk about too, is your story. And I do think that's important. But having the facts, knowing who your legislators are, knowing them by name, that they know you by name, that is so important too. So that's your homework for me, to find out the difference of those waivers, and you get to know your legislators, you get to know who they are. And I have a great resource that I want everybody to take home tonight. And I brought copies for you. It's called Hot Tips. This is what we use in our Advocates in Action class. And you will find this is going to be like your Bible for going to talk to your legislators. It even gives you scripts of what to say. I love scripts. I love to be able to kind of look at it and go, okay, these are the points that I need to make. This is going to tell you that. It's going to even give you your addresses. It's going to go by county. Like if you look, I know people don't have copies of them. Some of them go right now. But if you look on page 24, if you've got it, it goes over your districts and it goes by county. So you can look. Now, I live in Adair County. So my representative is John Carney, House of Representatives, John Carney. They call him Bam, actually. And I actually call him Bam because when I called him John, he said, call me Bam. I said, all right, Bam, which sounds so weird, but I immediately want to go Bam, Bam, but I didn't. I said Bam. And Senator Max Wise. Now, they're both Republicans. Now, right now, guys, the Republicans rule right now, whether you're Democrat or Republican, right now, they're controlling everything. So I've got a really great thing for the state in Kentucky because both of my representatives are Republicans. And then what you do, then you go on down in our little booklet here, you want to find out what committees they're on. Because if you've got someone if you're a constituent, I always can never say that word right. Constituent, thank you. Constituent. You say it over and over. So you practice in front of the mirror. Because I certainly don't want to say it wrong when I get there. If you are their constituent and they know you vote, they're going to listen to you. Because they want to know, okay, what are they thinking? Are they going to vote again? What are they, when I went in and talked, it was when the big charter bill was coming out, and I was talking, Bam, Carney, he's the one that presented the charter bill. So I went to him immediately because I knew he was the key person to talk to. And guess what? I vote. Clayton votes. So we went and talked to him about the importance of that. So do you see where I'm going with that? It's real important to know what committees they're on and who your representatives are.
Obviously, Mr. McConnell's mind is made up. Is it worth our time to waste his time and the staff's time to call and give messages to him? Or is that
For
just...
Mitch McConnell, you're not going to get through right now. I called and called. Now, I still think, this is personal, this is not anything, I still think it's important to do it. I still think it's important if you get through to a staff person, if you get through to a voicemail, I've just been leaving voicemails, I've been sending emails, I've been doing anything I can just to get it out there because the more they hear, the more they see. Whether it does anything, I can't tell you that, but I think there's power in numbers, and I think if they're inundated with folks contacting them, hopefully that's going to make a difference. So I say yes.
Actually, there was a study, and I don't know if it's relevant or not, who did it or whatever, that legislators still pay more attention to handwritten notes.
Yes,
because they
absolutely.
can ignore emails, and they can say they never got your phone call, but a stack of mail on a table still speaks.
Yes.
So, maybe all three, but Mitch McConnell you don't even get a voicemail.
And you're exactly right. We have a lady that's been involved in the ARC for years, Marcia Van Hook. I'm sure maybe you all know Marcia. Marcia handwrites everything. And people know her. She hasn't been able to go to the Capitol the last couple of years because she hasn't been feeling well. But people still know her, and I name drop every now and then too. I use Marcia's name anytime I can because people know her there because she's made a difference. And all she's done is handwrite notes. So that tells you that there's definitely an importance in that. This book, though, I just think this book is great. We've done a lot of work compiling all this. We have to change it every year or when there's an election because things change. But you've got phone numbers in here. You've got addresses. When they are not in session, guess what? Guess where they are? They're home. In your community. They go to the restaurants you go to. They go to the places that you go. Look at them. Find their picture. You can go on to lrc.gov. It has their pictures on there.
Most of them has their cell phone.
Yes. And if you are a visual person, like me, I have to see their face in front of me because if I see them out somewhere, I might not actually remember what they look like unless I looked at their picture. So I've got their pictures where I can remember who they are. So if I do see them out in the community one day, I'm going to go, oh, there's Bam, Bam. And go up and speak to him and talk to him. Remember me? Clayton and I, we came and visited you this last, session. Oh, yes, and I'll kind of quiz them to see if they really remember me. What color's my hair then? Or something like that. But it's important that they know you and you know them, all right? And that they know you vote and they know that you do vote. Okay, it's one thing to say I'm a registered voter, but it's one thing to say I vote in the election every year. When your name comes up, guess what? I'm going to be voting for you or not voting. So please be sure to grab that hot tips when you leave today. The other thing I wanted to share with you is about the Advocates in Action class that the ARC of Kentucky has. Believe it or not, I attended Advocates in Action in 2008. And her name was mentioned earlier tonight, Katie Bentley, who is now the Public Policy Coordinator for the Commonwealth Council of Developmental Disabilities. We met, we were in the same class. And, which is so cool because for some reason, we sat at the table together. You know how we walked in, you don't know anybody, you're awkward. You go in and Katie and I sat by each other. And if you've ever been around Katie, y'all know Katie talks. Well, guess what? I talk too. So we talked the entire time and we decided we were going to, you know, just save the world, I guess, in our little time there. But that class changed me. And it brought me to where I am today. I would have never thought sitting in a class with 25 other folks with disabilities, parents, professionals, that in 2017 I will be standing here before you today. So it shows you how powerful things are and how this class to me has been a very valuable thing that in our state. And I think it's almost like, the best kept secret in Kentucky. Because we have amazing speakers, and one of them is Carolyn Wheeler, who comes.
I'm the least amazing.
No, you're very
But it's
amazing.
an amazing class.
It is, and there's so much information that comes out of that class.
I'm also,
You're a product of it, that's right. And it's very, very important. We talk about everything from the hot tips book, how to talk with your legislators. We go to the Capitol. We encourage everyone to make appointments with them. I don't make the appointments for them, but it becomes kind of part of their homework. And you know, if you're in school, if you remember when you were in school and somebody told you you had homework, remember I told you I have homework when you leave here tonight. You know, you're not going to be able to leave here going, oh my Lord, I've got homework. That's the way it is in class too. We tell them, you've got homework, here's what you need to do. So I really want to encourage you, if you've never attended the class, our next session is going to be November 3rd and 4th. And guess what? We cover all your expenses. We take care of your hotel for you. It's a great time to get away if you need a couple of nights away. And then we're going to be, we also plan in conjunction with 874K, which is January the 31st this year. We're going to meet on the 30th and 31st. So we do our legislator visits the morning of 874K, and then we go to the rally that afternoon. And then we meet again at our annual conference, which this year is going to be March 8th and 9th, and I have saved the date, which is 2018, excuse me. I have saved the date flyers over there for that too. So I really want to encourage you, if you would like to know more about advocacy, if you want to be a better advocate, if you want to know how to talk to your legislators better, I encourage you to come and take this class. It really is life-changing. The other amazing thing that we do in Advocates in Action, and I can pass this around, this is the first year we've done this task class, the first year we did this, but we did our stories. Everyone that went to Advocates in Action created a story. And what we did is we had those stories available for them the day they went and met with their representative and their senator. So they took a color copy of their story. We had them real pretty done for them. And they went and shared their story with their representative and left that leaf behind with them. Which is, as we've said tonight, is so important to leave something with them when you go. Then what we did is we put this little book together. And we've got copies at the office, and I mail them out. I'll send them if there's something going on that I want someone in Frankfurt to know about. I'll send this with a little press release about what Advocates in Action is, some of the stuff that we've done. So I want to pass this around just so you can kind of get an idea of some of the things that we do with Advocates in Action that's really valuable. The other thing we did is I'm really big on collaborating and partnering with other groups. And Katie and I have a great partnership. We've done a lot of things together. But we put these stories in the tunnel in Frankfurt, at the Capitol. And we had between P&A, the ARC, the DD Council, what's the other group? We did it with, I can't remember, I just went blank. Another group, I can't remember who it was now, but they were there too. We made all of these stories into 24, I think it was big, huge posters. They were big posters. So when all the representatives were going down the tunnel, guess what? We rented the tunnel for a whole week. And all of those stories were right there for them. You couldn't walk past and not look and see faces, okay? And so that is just something that was real important to me when I took over Advocates in Action, that I wanted those stories to be out there. I wanted those faces to be out there. So we did that, which I think is really great. So those are some of the things that we do with Advocates in Action that I think are real important. We had a great class this year. It's so great to see on Facebook some of the recent graduates who went through the class this year now creating their own advocacy support groups. All these great things. They create what's called a master advocacy plan. And from that, we kind of keep them accountable for things that they want to achieve. So if somebody said in their master advocacy plan, I want to be a part of the ARC of Central Kentucky, and we'll kind of follow up with them and say, hey, have you been to those meetings yet? Have you done that? So those are kind of things that we do and things that I'm excited about that Advocates in Action does. So please take one of those hot tips with you and also take one of our applications for Advocates in Action. Talk to you about how to talk with them. In the hot tips book, you'll see the scripts that I was telling you about. That's real important to know that. Jeff did a great job talking about Medicaid. I don't even think I even need to talk about it anymore, other than the fact that it is so important to know what's going on. I encourage you to like the ARC of Kentucky's Facebook page. Sherry does a great job on the ARC of Central Kentucky's Facebook page. That is how we're getting information out to families quick. So when we get news releases from the USARC or anything like that, I'm sharing them out, and then others are sharing them. And that's when the word starts to get out about the importance of it. I had someone tell me not too long ago, I was sending information out, and I was sending quite a bit out. I got an email reply back from someone that said, I really don't want you to send me anything else that has to do with stuff going on at the federal level. Just tell me when it gets to the Kentucky level. And I read it, I put my head down, and I started banging it on my desk. Just like that. And just going, because what happens there, as we've said tonight, is going to trickle down. And so it's real important that our voice is heard at the federal level so that we'll know what's happening at the state level. One of the sheets that's over there today too is call your senators in Washington every day with phone numbers, what to do, what to say. If you're a person with a disability, you make sure they know that when you call. If you're a family member of someone with a disability, you make sure they know that. If you're a professional in the disability field, you make sure they know that too. So I think we've given you tool after tool over there that will help you when you walk out of here tonight to feel more confident about making those phone calls. I know the first time I made a phone call, I was a nervous wreck. And I sing. I'm a singer. I go out and sing different places and everything. But for some reason, I can get up in front of a crowd and sing. But for some reason, picking up the phone and making that phone call, I was like a nervous wreck. But then once I did it, then I got a little cocky about it. I kind of went from one extreme to the other pretty quick. But that's kind of the confidence that you want to get. You want to get to where when you call, you know what you're saying. You tell about your child. You tell about why you do what you do. You tell about what's important to you. And also, I love tonight hearing you have your facts down too, because that is so important. We can't focus too much on one thing and forget the other. So you have to have a little bit of both. You have to have your story, but you also have your facts too. So that's so important. Also, Jake's going to be talking here in just a minute about his story, but we've given you a copy of it over here. And then on the back, I've, of course, put my son on here because he actually went through Advocates in Action this year for the first time. And so he got to do his story and share that out. And I loved when we went to the Capitol this year and we made our appointments. One thing about Clayton, I don't have to worry about being nervous because he's not. And he would walk in with his story and he would start talking about it and he would hand it to him and tell his story. And that's so important. That meant more than anything. So I wanted you to see that too, because this is what we did with Advocates in Action. This is what Medicaid means to me, and then this is what we did with Advocates in Action. So those stories are so important. We also gave you over here just a little template of how to fill it out, like what you can ask yourself when you're writing your story, when you're doing it, just questions.
shelter waiver. I know that there are a lot of people on the waiting list, and, you know, that there are people who need it who aren't getting it. And I'm also, apparently, they don't think that any of us need it at the federal level because they're going to cut the funding. And that really is going to be difficult for our state if you think about it, because if right now, if we're getting a lot of money from the federal government to support these Medicaid programs, when that funding is gone, the question is the legislature going to fund it? Because I seriously doubt they will. I mean, right now, they won't have us. They're saying that our budget is unbalanced and we have financial problems with the retirees and all those kinds of things. But anyway, but Amelia, she does a lot of things. She goes to a lot of classes. Our goal is for her to be able to get a job. Unfortunately, at being I'm a sandwich caregiver. I have my elderly mother and dementia living with us, and unfortunately my father got sick and passed away a few months ago, and you know, we've got all these older people having their problems, and Amelia has her needs, and then we're trying to figure out, and I know you are too, how to figure out how can I take care of all these people at the same time, you know, and that so Amelia really needs her Medicaid waiver to support her independently in the community for a couple of reasons, because I'm trying to take care of someone else who is disabled and elderly, and also seeing my, you know, my family members at the end of their lifespan in their upper 80s. You know, I'm thinking, well, geez, I probably am going to die someday, because I always would joke with people, I'm not going to die, I'm going to live to be 100, because, and then the rest of that is because I have to. But we all know that we are here on this earth a finite number of days and years, and so, you know, you have to plan for the time when you're not going to be here. And frankly, people, this is the other thing that frustrates me about this whole healthcare legislation. People our age become disabled, not necessarily through illness, but sometimes through an accident. You know, people will have something catastrophic happen, and then you, who's supposed to take care of your loved one with a disability, suddenly cannot because something bad happened to you. So, if Amelia did not have Medicaid, because, like I said, she gets speech therapy every week, she gets behavior consultants, assistants, she gets occupational therapy. Those things help her improve her functioning in our very social society with many people with autism in life. And it helps her to function independently and go out into the community so that other people can understand her better and that she can interact. And she actually does a heck of a lot. Like, she participates in this Best Buddies Club on UK campus that's college students who want to be friends with people with developmental disabilities. She takes therapeutic recreation classes, and in addition to just going and doing stuff, like she and I went to see Mary Poppins in the Kentucky Theater last night, and you know, I didn't want to see Mary Poppins again, but you know, I went to see Mary Poppins. But because that's what, you know, she needs to do. But
when you talk about voting,
she does vote. She does vote. Now this is a point of contention for me. Because there's a grouchy poll worker at our poll and an impatient poll worker. No, it's a man. This is a man. I complained about it. I complained because, anyway, because I thought his behavior was inappropriate toward my daughter. She knows how to read. She can, like I said, use her device to communicate, but she doesn't do anything fast, ever. She doesn't do anything quickly, except maybe run to the television to turn it on and watch something that she really wants to watch. or to fight you for the mouse on the computer. She'll do that quickly. When you're telling her it's time to turn off the computer. Don't you ever have those arguments in your house, Jenny? Like, hey, turn the computer off.
What?
You don't have arguments in your house about turn the computer off or stop watching that?
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes. Well, the joke we make about Amelia is she doesn't seem to have very strong parents. like functional life skills until you're trying to take the computer mouse away from her, from her and tell her that it's time to turn it off. Then suddenly she's like a fierce beast that has the strength of 10 men. And you're like, really? So she does vote, and she's able to make decisions. But when we went to vote a couple times ago, we had an unpleasant experience. One time she voted no problem at the machine. It's actually kind of, I hate the voting machines in Fayette
It's
County.
really hard.
They are so bizarre. And Amelia, every time she goes up there, she thinks they're a touch screen. She wants them to operate like a touch screen. They're not a touch screen. And I always have to say, now you have to use the wheel and turn it and click and blah, blah, blah. But that's just, anyway, that's like, operates like no computer that anybody in this world uses. So she voted this past time absentee ballot because she was getting anxious at the polling station because of the behavior of the poll worker, because he was so impatient. And then that makes her be more anxious. And the things that she does when she's more anxious is start reciting TV shows out loud and loudly. And because it's kind of like a self-calming mechanism. And then they were looking at her like, they were just looking at her like she didn't belong here voting, and I was very upset about it. So I was like, fine, I won't come to your stupid machine in the future, which is sad because I really want her to be able to vote using the machine. But that's just a different, like, mountain I'm going to have to figure out how to climb. But in any event, she does go places, and without Medicaid, she would be sitting at home and watching television constantly because that's what she does when she's at home. Or that or trying to use the computer, and she and I have a disagreement about really do something else. And in fact, one of the things that recently she had a 6-month period where she didn't have enough community support help, like she was down employee. And so for 6 months, half of her week was covered by me. Well, I have other responsibilities, and so I wasn't able to take her out and do all the things that she wanted to do and go places that she wanted to do. I mean, it was like kind of like a struggle for me to try to figure out how I'm going to fit her appointments in, stuff I have to do, and then she's having to be dragged along to do the things that I need to do, which she has no interest in, So without her Shelby waiver, it would be putting her sitting and waiting and being dragged around with her mother, which she's 25 and she has no interest in that. I think that what frustrates me most, that I wrote in my little story here, was that I don't think that, I wish that our society looked at individuals with developmental disabilities as valuable parts of society, but I don't believe that they do. And so I do think that it's important that we write our stories and include lots of pictures of, whatever the person does that they like, enjoy, excel at, those kinds of things, to draw the picture for people that you can have a significant disability but still enjoy your life and participate in things and contribute and do things, that you like. Amelia has a Facebook page, and when I was looking for pictures, some of this, it's like she has a lot of pictures of stuff that she goes out and does on her Facebook page. So that if they cut Medicaid in the way that they're talking about, I think it's going to be disastrous for a person like her. And especially since what you were saying in the federal language of the legislation about Medicaid, that it does, these waivers are called optional. They're listed as optional services. So I do think that that is an issue. And Amelia's here.
One thing that I do when I'm writing letters, or I've got this app called 5 Stars, and you can, 5 Stars is when you call in, and sometimes I'll call and talk about it, but there's something you can send emails, write letters, like you said, Carolyn. And what I talk about is that Jason's job coach, which allows him to work a couple little part-time jobs he has. So he's a taxpayer. With him having things to do during the day, like go to a job and do things with his CLS work, it allows me to work because I don't worry about him sitting home by himself or somebody taking advantage of him. And then I said, all the people that works for him are also paying taxes. So it's a ripple effect.
Yes.
If they take away this program, he's not gonna be paying taxes, I'm not gonna be paying taxes, I mean, I'll try to find I'll try to find a job that I can, but it's not just, we're gonna cut this taxes and then we're gonna save these taxes. Or cut these programs and we're gonna save this much money because it's gonna reduce what, people have a job. And I figure if you're writing to Republicans, that's a pretty good argument.
Because you can't write to Democrats that way.
You can write to Democrats, and I don't mean that, I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm joking.
I'm just saying they're business oriented, they want things to pay for themselves.
Yes. I think one of the things that when we went to Frankfurt, Amelia and I went to 874K Day this past February, is that when it is? I'm sorry. That she went we went to see Senator Alice Ford-Kerr. Well, Amelia has this communication app on her iPad. So Amelia got her iPad. I kind of got her iPad out because I figured she was going to be extremely bored with the conversation that we were having with, Senator Ford-Kerr, and that I kind of got her iPad out so that Amelia would not distract from what was going on, so that she could entertain herself with something, look at what she wanted to look at. She gets her iPad out and opens her Acorn, which is the name of the communication app that she uses. And she started writing sentences about how she was going to go to 874 Advocacy Day and meet the senators and representatives and stuff like that. And Senator Ford-Kerr was highly impressed. I mean, she was really, Alva. She was really impressed, wasn't she?
She was.
She was really impressed with Amelia's.
Oh, you did a great job.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, Amelia, I didn't even tell you to do that. I didn't even say you should talk to this legislator. She just was ready to do it. And I think that talk, like you said, Senator Ford-Kerr, I don't think she'd ever seen anybody use a device like that before. Do you, Alva?
No, she asked lots of questions after. She really wanted to understand more. That's amazing.
So I just thought it was really exciting for that, interaction and educating, like you said, educating our state legislator, and we live in her district, so, that was really nice.
She'll remember that next time you all come.
She took pictures with us as well.
Yes, and actually, Amelia and I had gone the year before and saw Senator Buford, who we had seen at the autism support group, and he saw us in the hallway and we said hi, and then I just said to him, and this was, like I said, in 2016, and I said to him, we ran into him twice, and I said, can I stop and take your picture with Amelia, because she puts stuff on Facebook. And he goes, no, come with me. And he said, follow me. And he took us upstairs to his office and took pictures with Amelia behind his desk. And I was just like, this guy is so cool. And he's a Republican too, Patty. And I'm just saying, he was a really nice man and was very interested in meeting Amelia and interacting with her and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I just do think that it makes a big difference. And he recognized us because he had come to the support group. Autism Society had a meeting where we invited some legislators to come and just talk to us about issues. And he just recognized us in that. So, and I was just like, so for me, I was really excited for Amelia. I don't care about myself. So anyway, that's all. But so it would benefit me if I were like Patty and they would put this on one page, but I don't think that's possible. I can't do anything.
It's not possible for women.
Anyway, that's all I have to say. But do take the time, and it took me months to actually sit down and do it. So don't be like Wendy. Don't take 3 months to sit down and do it.
So I want to announce the results of our election. Our new board member is Patty Logston. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Please pick up some of we have tons of information, so please help yourself to all of that. It's very great for when you're calling the legislators and senators, and pick up a story that she's talked about, it's over here, because we will probably be having that story workshop. Get your pictures together.
Did you have,
Yes, I have it over here.
those are really helpful.
That's what I'm talking, that story handout, it's over here on the table. Start working on the story, start getting your pictures together, and then look for us on our Facebook page or our web page. We'll be posting
with our
those.
t-shirts.
Yes, and we do have t-shirts if you all want to support us in any way. They're $10 a piece if anybody wants a t-shirt. And we have Kroger reports back there. That's an easy way to support us. Just join our Kroger membership. And then money goes back